landscape has changed. Casey played Miami from last year, now playing in that title game. Does that give you any added confidence or any extra motivation, understanding how open this league can be?
Yeah, how can it not? I mean, it goes both ways. Central Michigan went from a 12-2 nationally ranked team to 3-9. We went from a bowl team to not having a great season. But you know, the thing about this league is, the differences between the schools is minimal, and it works both ways. I don't think it's that hard. You can leapfrog people quickly, but you can also be passed by quickly. And I mean, if you look at this league over the last decade, the challenge is sustaining it. You can't say there's one program that has sustained it for 6 to 8 years. And that's what we want to do. That's why we're not rating junior colleges and signing 15 JUCOs, and that's why we are redshirting. Because once we get it built, we want it to be built in a very solid way that it doesn't fluctuate greatly. And our last 2 years are an example of, I don't want to be 8-4 next year and then drop back again the year after that. I mean, you want to build on it, and you want to create a tradition and an expectation level that goes from class to class. And again, the whole key is recruiting good players, developing them. It's not magic. There's a formula that works. I've seen it work before, and it's going to work again. I firmly believe that.
We don't see the everyday operation of your team and the meetings and everything. We can only judge on basically what you tell us and what we see on game day, and if we happen to come to practice. How do you judge, I guess, character, heart, and attitude? I mean, you've given us a lot of tangible things. You can see this player, you can see how fast he can run, throw the ball, tackle. But how about intangibles that you can't see? Do you think this team has them or can achieve that? Because those are things that make winning teams. The talent could be even, but if you have the heart and the attitude to win, then you will probably win and the other team won't.
I would say this. I think your talent has to be at a certain level for that to happen. And if your talent is at that level, then the intangibles separate you from the pack. I would completely agree with that. And how do we judge that? It's a whole bunch of different things. Number one, we class check 120, 140 classes a day here. We tell the players they have to go to class. There's no choice. Does everybody listen? No. The guys that do listen and do take that seriously is an indication that they're bought in. Every week our guys are in the weight room. I'm always asking Coach Hillman, what's their work ethic like? Are they coachable? Can you coach them hard? We evaluate what they're like in the meetings. We give tests to our players. Which guys are truly locked in and pay attention, know everything that's going on? What guys, when they're injured, show on time to the training room? Which guys don't have any off-the-field issues? Those are all the things. It's the accumulation of those things that I think allows a program to be great. I tell our players, don't show up on lists. Don't show up on the list that missed class. Don't show up on the list that didn't go to training room. Don't show up on the list that tells me you weren't working hard in the weight room. And generally speaking, our lists have gotten shorter here. Are they empty? No. But the lists have gotten a lot shorter. The amount of class that we've missed is a lot less. The amount of ineligible bad GPAs we have is a lot less. The amount of guys that have missed the training room is less. The amount of guys that we have work ethic issues with in the weight room is less. And our APR is up. So to me, all those things are indicators of where your program's going. And does that show up instantly in the one-loss column? No. Eventually does it? I firmly believe that it does. And again, I've been a head coach. This will be my 12th year. At 2 other programs, these were the type of things that started happening before we won. And at times it's frustrating because you don't have the results you want, but my experience is the class attendance, not getting in trouble off the field, the work ethic in the weight room, getting stronger. At some point, those things need to translate to on-the-field success. I don't know any other way of doing it. And again, I've seen it work, you know, as a player, as an assistant coach, and as a head coach five other times in my life. And so again, I believe in what we're doing, and we're going to stay the course.
From an attitude standpoint, if for example, the heaters on Saturday or last Friday, there's guys sitting there who aren't playing, you would prefer to have them up standing cheering for their teammates rather than sitting on those benches with the heaters, would you not?
Absolutely.
Was that something that you would address during the game with them, or an assistant coach?
No, during the game, I don't think that's the time. You don't want it to take it away from the players who are involved in our focus. Those are things that I think you address at the end of the game, but you know, for the guys playing the game and the seniors playing in their last game, you know, I'm not going to major in minors during the middle of the game, and some of those kids don't know better. You know, were some of those guys redshirt freshmen that had no other idea? You know, those are things that you constantly educate your players on the way that good programs do things. And one of our struggles this year is because of all the players that left and the lack of older leadership. You know, we were taking on way too much of that burden. I want to get to the point that the players take care of that stuff. You know, when that goes on, it needs to be a player that says, hey, get your butt off the bench, support your teammates. You know, that doesn't go on in our program right now as much as it needs to, or it will.
When you say we need that, or we were taking on too much of that, you mean we as coaches, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's always, you know, this is, again, just my experience. You know, in my career, I've won a couple of the Coach of the Year awards in different leagues. When I won those awards, I don't think I ever worked less or it was ever easier. When you're coaching a good team, the team runs the team. All of those issues you don't deal with because the team handles them. The leadership handles them. It never gets to me. The more that we have to deal with those issues as coaches, it's never good. And so in the years that you struggle, I think you do your hardest coaching. You know, when you're battling so hard just to get a first down. In the years that you're good, those things take care of themselves. And that's where it all goes down to recruiting, player development. When I mean player development, I just don't mean getting stronger and getting faster, but the character development, the leadership development, so that the players take ownership of the team. Last year, seniors took ownership of that football team. There were so many issues that never came up because Tyler Sheehan, Jimmy Scheidler, Brady Minturn, Jarrett Sanderson dealt with it and managed it and took care of it. And I could go on and on. You know, that did not happen as much this year. More and more of those things we had to address. And, you know, it was frustrating, but I had to look at those as those were great teachable moments. And you hope it's a team that learned from them and is better for it. And that is part of building a program.
Well, part of me thinks that the Replacements movie with Gene Hackman, when he walks off the field at halftime and says, "This is how you win, you have to have heart," that's what I think about your team sometimes. And like I said, I don't see them in the weight room and everything else. It just seems like there were some people who were just totally disinterested. And that comes with not being able to succeed on the field, obviously. That you can lose interest sometimes, don't you think?
Yeah, but I also think, you know, the guys that spend 3 and 4 years in your program and who have bled and have sweat and have invested so much into it are the guys that don't let that happen. They refuse to lose. And when 80% of your team has been in your program 2 years or less, there's not enough of those guys. I couldn't agree with you more, Jack, that it's you know, is that where it needs to be? No.
Right.
But in good programs, the older guys teach the younger guys how it's done and the right way to do it, and they manage those things in the locker room. And the amount and the percentage of older guys that we have is low, and the guys that took on that role are even lower. And that was one of the great challenges of this year, is that we had guys that had never played before, and quite honestly, I don't think knew what it took to play at a high level. We had too many guys playing that were just happy to be playing.
You had